you, Doll, for starting the recording. My name is Hélène Caron. I'm also known as Coach Hélène, and I'm going to be hosting the seminar tonight entitled Cold Water Exposure as a Tool for Mental Well-Being. So we're just going to wait another 30 seconds before we start. We have other people coming in. And I think you can see my main screen over here. And this is just a reminder that this seminar is offered for free, but it is with suggested donations to the Samper Caicedo Legacy Foundation. And you'll see why in a few moments. I think I'm going to start now. People have stopped rolling in. So I'm going to start. So thank you and good evening, everyone. I am extremely delighted to see all of you joining in today for this special online seminar. And whether you're a curious newcomer wondering about how to start a cold water exposure practice, like a cold shower, plunge, open water swimming, something else maybe, or maybe you're a seasoned cold open water swimming enthusiast, or someone simply looking for tools to support your mental well-being, thank you for being here, whether you're a friend, a family member, or just a friend waiting to be met in the water. Today's event is extra special because it's not just educational, it's also meaningful. This free seminar doubles as a fundraiser for the Samper Caicedo Legacy Fund, started by Alejandro Samper, one of the speakers this evening, after his mother, his father, and his sister were killed during the tragic incidents of the Lapu Lapu Festival in Vancouver this past April. Thank you for considering making a donation. No matter how small, it will truly help make a big splash in helping Alejandro with his mission, which you'll be hearing about shortly. First, let me introduce myself. Why am I even doing this, right? My name is Hélène Caron. I'm an athlete, an author, a coach, a speaker. I've done over 1,500, yes, that's 1,500 cold open water swims. That's about over 500 hours of swimming since the fall 2020. I'm a certified personal trainer, fitness instructor. I'm an NCCP coach, third Dan Wadokai black belt. I like to move, basically. I've taught over 1,000 people how to swim since 1989. And I used to be a lifeguard, an aqua fitness instructor, a water running coach, and I've done so much more in the aquatic world. So basically, I've got a fin somewhere growing on me. My personal journey is basically what brought me over here. In 2014, I had a car accident and I suffered severe post-concussion symptoms. And these symptoms went on from February 2014 to pretty much December 2020. And I've tried a lot of things, and what got me out of my, I don't want to call it misery, but difficult situation, was the miracle of cold open water swimming. So I started around September 2020, and within 2-3 months, my migraines were gone. My last one was May 4th, 2021, when I moved from Ontario to BC. I suffered from PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and haven't had a single issue since cold water swimming entered my life. And that took about 2-3 months to heal. And also I had chronic pain and other post-concussion symptoms, which are much better managed since I started open water swimming. So you can tell how passionate I am about cold water swimming and all the benefits it's brought me. And so I've decided to make it my mission to help over 10,000 people significantly overcome their physical pain by 2035. So I founded The Coolest Journey with that mission in mind. And it's a combination of programs, retreats, cookbooks, and podcasts and other tools to help people break their cycle of physical pain, reignite their inner fire, and live their best life. And talking about their best lives or our best lives, we've had many unfortunate situations in our communities due to mental health issues. And given my personal and professional experience, I decided to organize. Oh, sorry, I've got something happened here on my screen. So I decided to organize the event tonight and the one in person, which is going to happen on Saturday, October 18th at Kitsilano Beach in Vancouver, as a way to share my special gift of cold water exposure with everyone who could need it, and to help as well with healing and reconciliation for all victims of the Lapu Lapu Festival in April 2025, whether immediate family, friends, first responders, or others. Some of you already know this, but Alejandro's father was my husband Ador's work colleague. In addition, we attended, so basically that was Daniel Samper, was Ador's colleague. And we were at the very first edition of the Lapu Lapu Festival in 2024. So what happened this year hit us very hard, and we felt it necessary to share a mental well-being tool that made such a big difference in my life, a tool which is free, affordable if you do have to spend some money to use it. It's accessible and easy to implement in anyone's daily life. It's cold water exposure. For this evening's seminar, I want to extend my deepest thanks to all of the speakers: Alejandro Samper, Dr. Mark Christie, Gabriela Herrero, Peter Williams, who all graciously who are sharing their time with us. And they've shared a great deal of time with me even before this. And finally, and a big thank you as well to my assistant, Doll, without whom this would not be possible and happening. And finally, thank you to my amazing husband, Ador, who's been my pillar for over 20 years now and consistently supports all of my crazy ideas. I guess that's what love does for anyone. So thank you, Ador. So tonight, we have a fantastic program lined up for you. First, we're going to hear from Alejandro Samper. Then we're going to hear from 3 inspiring guest speakers who will each bring their unique stories and expertise. So the first guest, Dr. Mark Christie, could not be with us tonight. He's out of Cumbria University in the UK, so it's about 1 a.m. for him. So he decided to stay in bed tonight. So we don't blame him, but he sent me all of the slides and he asked me to present in his name. So I hope I will do him justice by doing that. And so I'll be presenting his research on mental health and open water swimming. And it's extremely powerful. You definitely want to listen to this. Gabriela Herrero will then follow with her story of cold water for stress management. And we'll end with Peter Williams, who will be sharing his incredible story of PTSD and cold water exposure. After our speakers, I'll quickly touch on how to start a cold water exposure practice, because this is not something that anyone should just jump into. There are a lot of safety considerations and things to consider. Of course, one of which is always we want to make sure that we have medical clearance if it's possible to get one, and also to make sure that we have safety measures in place. But we'll talk more about that at the end. And then we'll have some prize draws and some time for Q&A with all of the speakers. And if you want to share some thoughts and reflections, the floor will be open. And the great prizes that we are going to be drawing, actually the value kept increasing. So now we're at over $1,100 in terms of the 3 main prizes that we're drawing. So I hope you're going to stick to the end. If you can't stay for the whole seminar, don't worry. We're recording the session tonight so that the replay will be available on the YouTube channel, The Coolest Journey, so that you can watch or catch up with any part that you want in there. And you'll be also able to share the link from YouTube with other people in your various circles so that you can spread the word about the power of cold water exposure for mental well-being. So grab your tea, your coffee, maybe even an ice pack. Set the mood, and let's dive in together. So once again, welcome to our community of brave, curious, and cold-loving change makers, and let's make some waves. Let me start to introduce now. That was the agenda I should have shared. So this is going to be the agenda. And I'm going to start introducing our first speaker, Alejandro Samper. So the Samper Caicedo Legacy Society was founded by Alejandro Samper following an unimaginable tragedy. On April 26, 2025, an individual suffering from severe mental health disorders drove an SUV into a crowd of innocent people at the Lapu Lapu Festival, taking the lives of 11 individuals, including Alejandro's beloved mother, father, and sister, and injuring many others. In the wake of this heartbreaking loss, Alejandro created the society to honor his family's legacy and to continue to share the light, the love, and the compassion that they've been bringing into the world. The organization is dedicated to transforming grief into meaningful action by fostering healing, connection, and resilience among individuals and communities affected by trauma. Through creative expression, wellness initiatives, education, and community-based programs, the Samper Caicedo Legacy Society works to relieve psychological distress, promote social inclusion, and provide opportunities for personal and collective growth. Its mission is to transform heartbreak into healing and to turn loss into love that uplifts others. Alejandro, thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, Hélène, for inviting me to this beautiful seminar and supporting the Samper Caicedo Legacy Society. Really means the world to me. Thank you, just in general, by the support from the community who care deeply about healing and mental well-being. You know, events like this help me and so many others find new tools to cope, to breathe, and keep moving forward. Yes, many of you know, like my life was shattered, my soul destroyed. But in that darkness, I made a promise to myself and to my family that I would honor their light in the highest way possible. That promise became the SC Legacy Society, nonprofit organization devoted to transforming heartbreak into healing and creative positive change in our communities. Our mission is to help people heal and find emotional release from trauma through creative connection and compassion. We do this by offering accessible programs in art, wellness, and counseling, creating safe spaces where people can express what they feel, process their pain, and begin to rebuild their lives. We also focus on education and empowerment, offering workshops and training in the arts, leadership, and community development, especially for those recovering from trauma and hardship. For those who struggle financially, we work to remove barriers, subsidizing or fully covering program costs so that healing and growth are never limited by money. Another important part of our mission is to promote social inclusion, to bring people together, to share, to connect, and to remind each other that we are not alone. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community. We also advance the arts by giving emerging artists and leaders mentorship and platforms to share their creative work, using art as a tool for resilience, expression, and collective well-being. And finally, we focus on outreach and education, raising awareness about trauma, mental health, and recovery. We want to build culture where compassion and connection become the norm. At its heart, the Samper Caicedo Legacy Society is about carrying forward the love, kindness, and light that my family brought into this world. Through this work, I hope to transform pain into purpose, to help others find peace, strength, and healing, just as I am learning to do so myself. Thank you again, Hélène, everyone, all the other speakers, and for reminding us that even through deep pain, we can find love, connection, and resilience together.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alejandro, for sharing your story. I know that it's been difficult times for you, so we really appreciate you being here tonight as well, finding the capacity to share what your legacy and a bit of your journey has been. I definitely look forward to our cold water outing again. together this Saturday. So it's a bit of a part 2 of this series of seminar. So it's on Saturday, October 18th at 8 a.m. And like I said, it's the second part of this fundraising event. And
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, you came with us on Monday, and it was at Jericho Beach here in Vancouver. And it was, yes, it was a nice experience, I'm sure.
Yes, I am so, like, it was transformative, really. That whole day I felt energized and just felt good in general. So I'm looking forward to doing more of this and learning more about cold water benefits and swimming. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Well, talking about learning a little bit more about cold water, my next guest is Dr. Mark Christie. Let me just move this forward. So if you're looking at donating to the Samper Caicedo Legacy Foundation quickly, I just want to make sure that everyone has the website that's right there, sampercaicedolegacy.com. So my next guest is Dr. Mark Christie from Cumbria University, and his research has been focused on sport and physical activity development, more specifically, nature therapy. Nature therapy is basically we go outside and we partake in the green spaces like forest, parks, gardening, or in blue spaces like water, basically rivers, oceans, lakes. So he's been doing a lot of research in both blue and green therapy. And I just want to quickly apologize to Dr. Mark Christie. He just recently got his doctor title, and I think at one point I forgot to mention doctor in the slides. So it's a very important designation, title that he just received for his research. So we really are grateful for this. So let me just, from here, move into Mark's presentation. And all right, everyone can see this, right? Just that someone can give me a thumb up. Yes, okay, great. So mental health benefits of open water swimming. So this is basically an overview. Some of it is Mark's research and some of it is the general overview, but this is where it's going to become quite fascinating. So some physiological health benefits of open water swimming. There has been some research on this, and what we're finding, and by the way, I'm just going to go quickly through Dr. Christie's slides, not because I don't want to respect the work that he's given me, but because he's going to be one of my guests, upcoming guests on the Coolest Journey podcast, where he's going to be talking about this in detail. So I want to just take out the most important information for you. You can always look at the replay of tonight's session and read the slides by yourself if you prefer, or listen to the podcast when he's going to be on the Coolest Journey. And I apologize for not looking at the camera. I've got to look at my presentation. There's been quite a lot of research in blue spaces, and especially when it looks onto mental well-being, and we're looking at enhanced mood, feelings of restoration, and stress reduction. And Dr. Christie has indicated a lot of the published research, so you can always refer to those. So there are several theories that explain the relationship between blue spaces and mental health. There are 3 main here that are presented. There's stress reduction theory, attention restoration theory, and biophilia hypothesis. The stress reduction theory stipulates that even just being exposed to these locations automatically brings in an evolutionary psychophysiological stress reducing response. So just being in an outdoor environment, it basically helps to reduce our stress. The second theory is attention restoration theory, so that you're outside and the pleasant stimuli that you're experiencing, it's diverting attention from the daily life stressors. I don't want to put in too many of my comments, but really this is a big thing when we're outside, and there's so many things to process when we're outside swimming. This is a very strong theory for us open water swimmers. Biophilia hypothesis is that this mentions that humans have and will always have a strong bond and need to connect with nature. So they call it the CTN, connect to nature. And that when we meet this bond, then we get positive psychological reactions. In addition to these theories, we're looking at nature-based experiences that are providing opportunities to satisfy some of our basic psychological needs, such as competence, relatedness, and autonomy. And then there's also other feelings like the feelings of transcendence. Given that open water swimming is often done in groups as well, there's a socializing aspect that cannot be removed from the entire experience. And we also see strengthened effects for open water swimming through the very act of being in the water, in a cool or cold water, where we experience decreased pain perception, inducement of relaxation. May not happen when we're in the water, but it'll be afterwards, and enhanced mood that are often cited. Some more research evidence in terms of psychological health benefits. There are some studies that have been questioning outdoor swimmers about what their experiences have been, and that immersion in nature, shared experience, emotional cleansing, connection, improved mental strength, those are the usual responses that the participants are providing. Another study, the Denton and Aranda study in 2020, interviewed the participants and asked them what their perception of sea swimming was. And so a lot of the responses were about transformative, it changes the mind, changes the body, the identity, about connecting and reorientating, which is disruption to the sense of time, space, and body. This is quite interesting because when you're floating, water is buoyant and therefore it takes some of the gravity of when we're on land off. And so that reorientating, that disruption of the sense of time, space, and body, from my initial conversation with Dr. Christie, it seems like that plays a role in it as well. Associated challenges associated with open water swimming, and challenges being water temperature, air temperature, wind, water conditions, things in the water. There are a lot of factors. They can lead to improvements in self-confidence and self-esteem and efficacy. There's a lot, if you listen to ice swimmers speak, they really feel like, pardon my English, but they feel like they're badasses out there partaking in an activity that not a lot of people would think about doing. And this really is about increasing the self-confidence. So this is in addition to the recognized mental health benefits from simply going out for an open water swim. Other possible physiological mechanisms from immersion in water, which could contribute to a positive impact on mental health. There's cold water vagus nerve stimulation. I will let Dr. Christie go into more detail about this because that one sentence alone could be the topic of a few hours for a seminar. Post-swim stress hormone responses, cross-adaptation, reduced cortisol responses, and reductions in inflammatory responses. So the researchers that have looked into open water swimming mention that it's uniquely placed as a means to enhance psychological outlook, life enhancement, social interaction, feelings of relaxation, and overall mental well-being. Now, the last part is very important. Thus, open water swimming might prove to be an effective intervention for those at risk from mental ill health, including severe psychological disorders and suicidal behaviors. Just going to let that sit for a little bit, including severe psychological disorders and suicidal behaviors. A little bit more about Dr. Mark's, his research. He's done 10 studies. Some of them are in the process of being evaluated by peers. And they focus on the lived experience of the open water swimmers. So there, he's looking at the motives, the benefits, the barriers of open water swimming, women's experience, men's experience, disabled people's experience. And he actually published a case study of 2 swimmers recovering from suicide attempts. So his methodology follows that of ethnography. And he basically spends time with the participants and he asks them questions, and often being in the environment with them, as we can see from the various pictures. So some of his study findings, you will find this absolutely incredible. So this, don't be too intimidated. This is a participant poster following his study on why women want to do open water swimming. And I'm going to bring your attention to 3 themes. One is the transformative impacts upon the personal agency. The second theme is salutogenic impacts derived from open water swimming in blue spaces. And the third theme is social connectedness, belonging, and support. All of these are quotes from the various participants, just along those 3 themes. Now, the next slide shows why men swim outdoors. So it's slightly different. The theme number 1 for men is around health and personal agency enhancements. The theme number 2 was nature, environment, and spiritual connection. And theme number 3 was masculinity and emotional expression. So slightly different reasons of why men and women swim, but at the end, they all intertwine. This is where it becomes more than interesting. This is fascinating. So this is Dr. Mark Christie's published research about 2 people who recovered from severe mental ill health, including suicide attempts. So we see here the first subject. His name is Mark, and he was a very successful businessman, became a millionaire, and then his mental health deteriorated. He had never had anxiety or depression, but then he recognized that he was getting worse and worse over time. And so he had to do something to change things up because everything was falling apart in his personal life. So he started to do open water swimming, and with that, he started to connect a lot more with nature, and that promoted his mental health recovery. And you can see that there's different quotes that are that Dr. Mark Christie has brought up from Mark, the subject in the study here. And basically, nature, dipping in cold water with friends, gave Mark the impetus to plug back into life, finding both stimuli healing and uplifting. And he has such an appreciation of life right now. He completely changed his professional career as well. He became a coach, and he's doing a lot of different things now. And it's all around the cold water. And he became a life coach and a hypnotherapist. So his life completely changed for the better just because of this cold water practice. Now, the next person is Kathleen, and I've interacted with Kathleen many times. She's on Facebook, and many of you may, if you're into cold water swimming, you may have interacted with Kathleen in the past as well. She had a long history of both physical and mental ill health. A range of medical interventions had not worked for her, and one of the most challenging conditions she was suffering from was lipoedema, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is a buildup of adipose tissue in the legs and the arms, which makes everything swell. So she had had that condition since her teenage years, and it really affected her long-term mental health, including chronic depression, acute social anxiety. She had fears over stigmatization due to her size and the distorted physical appearance the condition is usually associated with. And Kathleen, you can see here in the picture, managed to somehow get into open water swimming at one point, and that's when her life completely changed. When she's in the water, she realized that she could move, and the sea was her main therapy. And she says the life-changing impacts of outdoor swimming were almost instantaneous. And she I mean, she had to overcome some major hurdles, basically leaving her own home. So the physical hurdle of getting yourself up, dressed, getting into the car, getting to the beach, having people helping her into the water, that was pretty big. But she also had the psychological reasons to aspect as well to get over her fears of how she would be perceived by others. And then when she took action, and you can see how, she definitely talks about her whole journey in her head. It was life changing for her. Once she got in the water, oh my God, I'm alive. So this water is life changing, life giving. And now she actually is a speaker. She goes into schools. She speaks to children. She speaks to various groups as well. She was the subject of an award-winning short film animation called Plunge. And she's feeling so happy. She can move. She can do what she wants. Even on the days when it's not going well for her, she knows that she can always go back to the water and regain her confidence. So this is the power of open water swimming. And there's more research coming out on open water swimming. This is just the beginning. And by open water swimming, it's cold, it can be either the ocean, it could be the lake. Now in Dr. Mark Christie's research, we are focusing more on blue therapy, which is outside, but it could also be some of the benefits you could see even by taking a cold shower. 20 to 30 seconds at the end of your shower, you can also experience some benefits. And there is quite a lot of extra research that Dr. Mark has sent our way. So I will leave that up for a moment here so that you can look at it. But this is just the beginning. We are starting to notice more and more people going into the waters, especially after COVID. There are more people doing longer distance swims, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers open swims. There are still the longer swims like the Channel, the English Channel crossing, Scotland to Ireland. There's a number of big events around the world. There's even ISA that was formed, the International Ice Swimming Association, which is a group that promotes swimming in ice water, which is between 0 and 4.9 degrees Celsius. So there's all sorts of activities and participation around open water swimming. And really, this is only the beginning. Now, when we think about the ease of doing this and how it can represent an easy intervention tool, it begs the question, why isn't everyone doing this? I'm going to go back to the original presentation. So now my next guest is Gabriela Herrero. So I hope I have presented enough of Dr. Mark Christie's research to properly introduce the work that Gabriela Herrero is going to be sharing with us. Gabriela is someone who will possibly leave you breathless. Gabriela is a global executive coach. She's located in Burlington, Ontario. She's a woman who loves travel. She loves to engage in great conversations and a good cup of coffee, and she believes in the power that emanates from every single person. She's a cancer survivor, and she understands the life challenges and the inner strength that we have to face these challenges and the power to rise stronger afterwards. She's one absolutely phenomenal swimmer who not only does cold water swimming in 0 degree water, so 0 degrees Celsius water, and minus 10 degrees Celsius air or colder, she also does distance in that water and wearing nothing else in her bathing suit, bathing cap, goggles, and earplugs. So that's a safety point. And sometimes she'll wear some mitts, for safety purposes when it gets too cold. But we first met on the shore of Lake Ontario in October 2020, when everyone needed some COVID confinement stress relief so badly that many of us started to swim in open waters. That's when I started that journey. Gabriela had been swimming for years before that. So she has not only become a swimming buddy of mine, but also a close friend, someone I greatly admire and almost worship for her ability to swim in dire conditions. Today, she'll be talking about how cold water swimming has helped her with stress management. Welcome, Gabriela, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Alejandro, we're here for you and your family. Like my heart is so thank you, Hélène. And well, with all those words, I feel stressed. So I need to go swimming. I want to make a just a comment that I met Hélène exactly on the beach, and that's when I also started cold water swimming. Um, I like to challenge my body. I've done Ironman. I've done all kinds of crazy things. I've fasted for 21 days just with water. So my body suffers a lot of stress. Plus, then there's the emotional stress of life, like the cancer, the kids going to university, the simple things of life and the complicated things of life. And swimming, blue places are my place to go and to decompress of everything that happens in life. Uh, but there is something special about swimming in cold water that soothes my soul. And it's what I want to share with you. A lot of the things that I'm going to say might be repetitive with Dr. Christie's presentation because it's exactly what stress is and how open water or cold water swimming is different. Now, I want to today I was talking to Hélène about the stress of swimming, and I think the stress that open water causes, because also these things cause a lot of stress. Cold water stresses your body at the beginning, and that's why the word resilience is something that you're going to see in my presentation. It's you build resilience doing this practice. It will help you to transform the pain or the fear. I think cold is something that people are afraid of because it's uncomfortable, right? We don't like what it's uncomfortable. And cold is one of those things that really are uncomfortable for a lot of people. For me, uncomfortable is hot. I cannot tolerate 40 degrees temperatures. That stresses me more than going in the cold. So if something is repetitive, I am so sorry. I'm just going to try to go with the story of why I do this. We're talking about the stress of swimming open water. It's stressful to be on a lake, or for me, that Hélène swims in the ocean at night. It would just cause me a lot of stress. Why? Because if there's a freaking shark coming in, or a fish, or a dead body, everything can come up in the water. It's stressful. In the summertime, also stresses me is the noise. There's a lot of noise in the water. You can hear the boats, you can hear the jet skis, you can hear the kids, the people. Also, there's more animals going around. So that is a little bit of stress for me. So in the summer, there is not a sensation of peace that I feel when I swim in cold water. When it's cold, it's you and you and you and the water, or the lake or the ocean. There's no noise. There's just your heartbeat and your thoughts, which is the important part. What you think it's going to happen while you swim, it's what's going to happen. When Hélène and I started swimming, there was somebody that was trying to teach us how to swim in cold water, but she really put a lot of stress on us, saying to us that if we were there more than 7 minutes, we were going to die. If we could swim more distance, that we had to have like an ambulance and 30 people outside the beach. So there was a lot of stress, but little by little, by doing it every day and every day, push ourselves a little more. That's how you, I forgot the word, adapt to cold water. Now, for some people, cold water might be 20 degrees. A lot of people cannot even go in the water at 20 degrees. Some people can go at 15, 13. They say that the benefits begin at 13 degrees, which is something that we don't know for sure. And there are crazy people, and I know there's another one here from Mexico too that does crazy things about swimming in the cold water. Um, it's different for everybody, right? So I don't know, Elaine, if you can move my presentation to the next slide. So that sensation of being in the cold, being quiet, being, especially with myself, that all these thoughts that come up when you're swimming, you're floating, and like Ellen said, there's no gravity, and it's like you are, I don't know, it's a meditative state. So that has helped me a lot with all my stress and everything that happens. During COVID, I wasn't stressed. Honestly, it didn't affect me like it affected a lot of people. For me, it was happy to go out and swim. But after COVID, my business started to suffer. My kids, one of my kids left to university. There were a lot of things happening in my life that would become stressors. My mom was sick, not from COVID, but for something else. One of my kids started suffering also in the lungs. And so there were a lot of stressors. And I do yoga. I go to the gym almost every day, and that doesn't reduce my stress. But cold water is something that really suits my soul. And it's that connection with the water and that connection with your body, because you really need to be in tune with yourself. It is, am I feeling hot? That means I'm hypothermic. Am I feeling that my hands are not feeling anything, like I cannot move my hands anymore? And the problem is that I became addicted to it, and I started pushing myself a little longer. So I started swimming 1,000 meters when people cannot do that supposedly. And then it was 1,200. And then there is this thing called the ice mile. And I have done 6. I am not ratified or anything, but I did it. And one of the person that exactly tried to start me in cold water swimming, she even took me out of social media because what I was doing was dangerous. So for me, it's just being with myself and challenge my body. And yes, there's stress at the beginning. One tip for me to give you in order to control that is the most organic thing that we do is just deep breaths before going into the cold. Even if you're in the shower, just breathing deeply helps me soothe my vagus nerve that Dr. Christie talked about. And yes, there's a stress, but then that feeling of euphoria, because it is euphoria, what you feel afterwards, and it stays with you like for 3 hours. You can focus on everything you want. If it's art, if it's work, if it's the kids, if it's everything, you can go and challenge life. There is another stressful part, which is getting dressed when it's -30 outside and you're wet, but I think that's the most stressful part of cold swimming. But it really the what it causes in your nervous system and how you feel afterwards is what makes you want more and go every day. I think those 1,500 swims that Hélène has something to do with how she feels and the happiness. She was a happy person even before swimming, but now I think she's the happiest of the happiest. I don't know if you can put the next one. I think this is going to be repetitive. I don't want to go over that, but how the hormones and everything changes. Nobody has talked about the brown fat. Especially in women, I feel there's a little bit of other people saying that for women it's not good to do cold water swimming, but we know that 70% of the swimmers are women because we go through menopause, and menopause is hot flashes and things. So water helps us. The best swimmers are women. So I don't know. There's some ground for more research there.
If I may, Gabriela, just a quick interruption here. In terms of hormones, I've worked with at least 30 different women who had hot flashes, and we pretty much followed something like a protocol of 10 to 14 minutes in the cold water in terms of exposure, and building up to that 10 to 14 minutes. Within 7 to 15 days, their hot flashes were gone. So the cold water was actually regulating their hormones. If it was a case study like just me and you, Gabriela, or a couple of other people, I'd say, okay, well, there needs to be a lot more research. But now, personally, I'm at over 30 women that I've helped. There's got to be some more research in this. And we both saw that clip online with Dr. Stacy Sims, who talks about the fact that cold water is not good for women. I urge Dr. Sim to do a different research study, involve us in it, or any of the 70% of the women open water swimmers out there, to really see what's happening with women's hormones during exposure to cold water. Sorry, I had to add that.
Yeah, no, perfect. I think she also has to come and swim with us to see what's the fear that she has to confront herself with cold. I think that's some of the things that happen. Like I said, it's a process of adaptation, which I think, and I use this with my clients, is that part of becoming resilient and that part of facing challenges. You adapt. Alejandro, you said you adapted, and that made you stronger to go through what you're going, and now you're doing something amazingly big out of what happened to you. Better sleep. I don't know if I sleep more. I think I sleep less, but it's because I'm crazy. And most people after a cold swim or a cold shower feel like they want to go and sleep. I don't feel that. For me, it's hours later that I want to sleep. But I do find, if you have heard about the states of flow, for me is that. So I become hyper focused and I can work better and I feel like a better person just by coming out of the water and have my coffee and then I'm ready to go. The process of coming out of the water, going into the water creates a lot of stress. So breathing, like everybody has done breathing exercises. Another thing that let's continue. Let's put the next slide and then I'll give you some other points of how to be able to go into the cold water if it's in the shower. This mental reset, I think Dr. Christie also said that is, I didn't like to go in the cold water, first of all, because your feet start to hurt. And then if there are rocks under, your feet obviously feel that like nails. Then is, what am I going to feel? And I don't know have you ever been in cold water in a pool or something that you have to start walking and you start like breathing and then it gets into your stomach and then you don't want to do that in your back. Well, all of that stress then might cause something that's called a shock. That's why they say that you cannot jump. Those people that do the polar jump in the beginning of the year in the lake, that is dangerous because you can actually drown because your body is going to react like when you're a baby and they submerge you so you start breathing in a pool. Exactly the same thing happens. You have this reflex and then the water can go into your lungs. So everything has to be slowly to go in. Like Hélène and I used to stay 7 to 10 minutes before going swimming, which will add to the time that we have been in cold water in order to calm ourselves. And then your brain knows what you're going to do. After so many swims, your brain knows what you're going to do, and you will feel that it's easier to go in. I would never say that it's easy. Your brain thinks it's easier, and then you can start swimming. So the mental reset, it's every day. I like this. Obviously, at the beginning, sometimes when we go in is, why are we doing this? But 2 minutes later, you feel amazing. It teaches you to listen to your body. I also studied somatics, and we do not put any importance on what the body is telling you. With cold water exposure, you learn to really listen to your body. You know what's going on. You listen to your heart. How many times have you really listened to your heart, what it's telling you, what your body's telling you, what your thoughts tell you about what you're doing? So this is the challenge, like try to really go in and know what you are capable of and what your body is capable of. It builds community. Well, right now in every single beach.
Sorry, Gabriella, I have to interrupt again. You know, when you were talking about listening to the body, I don't think we have a choice to listen to the body. When we go into cold water, our bodies are screaming at us. It's sending us all sorts of messages, and it's a little bit, it can be a little daunting. And I think it's part of the adaptation of a practice like this, right? The first 3 times, honestly, it's a lot to take in. But as we learn to receive these signals in our brain, okay, this is what my body is feeling, this is what my heart is feeling, like you were saying, this is what my feet are feeling, right? Then we start to okay, then we can relax into it, then we can do the adaptation. But basically, all of this cold snaps us in the present moment and forces us to reconnect with ourselves, to connect with the environment, with the water, and it forces us to connect with the others around us as well.
Yeah, I agree. Build community. We were a group of 5 people. Obviously, it was COVID, so we were not even supposed to be together at the beach. But even open water swimming now is a big thing. So you see, there's a group called Lost Swimming here in Burlington, in Oakville. And last summer, there were more than 150 people swimming on a Saturday. Cold water swimming, now you see different groups, not just the Wim Hof people, but now you see groups that actually go and either dip or just go swimming in cold water. And it's really nice because after swimming, we met a group of Russians. Instead of coffee, they were drinking vodka, which was fun. You're not supposed to do that anyway, but that's what they did. And the Russians have done this forever. This woman told me that she had been on the beach for 20 years. I've never seen her before, but it's a big group and they get together and then you go out for coffee. We stayed how many hours? And then, well, it was COVID because nobody had to go back to work, but we were hours talking. And obviously, people gather at the beach just to look at you. We have had people call the police because they think that we are doing something super crazy. But it's building community. A lot of people come in for create connections and other ones because they start feeling that they have the same issues. A lot of depression out there that helps with depression. So it's beautiful to see all the communities. And now, well, Hélène mentioned we have the International Ice Swimming Association, which has more and more people that want to do something with cold water. So for me, it's a ritual that strengthens not just my body, it's my mind and also my emotional resilience. Like it's amazing what I've done. It's amazing what it has taught me about myself and my body and what the human body is capable of. So if you can change to the next one. So things that I do, some tips just so if you want to go into cold water swimming is there are two types of things that you can do. One is breathing. If you have done a yoga class, what I do is I breathe in 4 times. And if you want to do it now, it's just count to 4, then hold it for about 4 seconds. And then just breathe out through your mouth for 6. And even if you're in the shower, your mind will start thinking about something else and you will not feel that you're in the cold water. And then the grounding is just feel the water, how it goes in your body and which areas of your body are the ones that react to the cold water. For me is my back. It's the even though the back doesn't go too much into the water, is the part that causes me the more pain and more like, oh, this is the part that I have. Not even my hair. Like I have a lot of hair. No, that is not, it's the back. So I try to feel the water, feel the rocks or feel the sand under my feet. And I start thinking how the water covers my body. What do I feel? Another thing that I have to do sometimes is I get, how do you call it? Freeze brain, ice cream freeze. How do you call it? Brain freeze.
Brain freeze.
I get brain freeze. Even in the shower, I get brain freeze. So something that I've learned, and this is something that not everybody wants to do, before I go into the water, I put water in my mouth and I swish. the water, because the brain freeze comes from your palate. So if the palate gets cold, it will send a signal to my brain. But I suffer from that pain, and it's something that stops me from swimming sometimes because it's really bad. But yeah, switching water, breathing, and grounding myself are the things that really put me in the state of now it's time to swim, and then feel the bliss after that for 2-3 hours. So I invite you, even if you start in the shower, one recommendation in the shower, I don't like doing it in the shower, but I tried something different. Instead of doing it at the end of my shower, I do it at the beginning. Because if you do it at the end, you have had been like 15 minutes in hot water. So your body is hot. And then you try to do the cold water, it's colder. So do it at the beginning and then take your shower. It's the same effect. So that's what cold water has done for me. I met Hélène, which I adore, and it's been amazing. I've met a lot of crazy people that do crazy things in cold water.
Yes, crazy people flock together and they're very happy together as well. And I think that's also the power of the social connection, that community building that Dr. Christie was mentioning, right, in his research. When we find people that we do these extreme activities with, we find that we bond in a very profound way with these people. And we've known one another now for 5 years already. I didn't realize that. Yes.
And every day we cannot stop talking about it. And if you put the last slide, you cannot believe this slide.
Oh, yes. So if anyone is wondering who these crazy people are, this is Peter, another one of our group swimmers. And this is me at the back and Gabriella here at the front. And I have to say this, Gabriella, because I remember that day, these little ice floats were razor sharp and they
they're
were
super
cutting.
sharp.
We got out of the water and our legs, the thighs were all had like little cuts. Yes. And there was one time as well, you were swimming and you had that piece on you that hit your forehead, and then you had blood coming down your face. So clearly, you know, this kind of activity, you want to put safety first. You don't do this alone. You want to make sure, first of all, you get your medical clearance as required. You go slowly. You build this. You're with a group of people who know what they're doing, so on and so forth. Most of all, if you're in cold water like this, you need to put earplugs. So you want to save your hearing, and also the crystals in your ears so that you don't get them displaced from the cold water. You could be at risk of losing your balance for the rest of your life. So there are definitely risks. You have to inform yourself. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But this is basically this picture. This brings back fond memory, Gabriella. I'm just going to use a mouse. So basically we had to go through, I think Peter had to use a shovel to create a path
to the water. He had an axe in the back of his car.
Yes, he took an axe, created the path, then we got into the water, had to push the ice floats away, got into the open water, which is over here at the back, swam a bit, and then came back in. Fun times.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gabriella. And you mentioned it's a small moment that creates lasting resilience and lasting friendships, because there's no way you could go through something like this and not connect with the people that you've done this crazy things with.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to move back to our original presentation. So thank you again, Gabriella, for sharing all your expertise. I want to also point out that I've had, oh my goodness, Gabriella, was it 2 or 3? I think we've had 3 different episodes, yes, on my podcast. So my podcast, The Coolest Journey, was just changed in terms of the name, but the previous podcast, which is the same concept, it's about people sharing their stories, their coolest journey stories, the coolest journey of their life, where it's an intersection of environment and health, and it provides tips and tools for anyone to integrate in their own life. And Gabriella, we talked about cold water swimming. In the second episode of us together, we talked about the first episode was about our cold water stories. So if you want to hear some crazy stories, we share even more there. But the second episode is where we talk about how to start a cold water practice. And that's under Healing Humans, Healing the Planet, One Story at a Time. I'm going to put the link in the YouTube channel where this recorded presentation is going to be, so you can see it in the show notes, and then you can access the episode. This said, my next guest was also on my podcast. In fact, he was my second episode under the Coolest Journey. His name is Peter Williams. He's a cinematographer with over 30 years of experience filming across more than 50 countries. And Peter's done it all from reality TV to documentaries to breaking news, sports, travel, and live events. He spent over a decade with major news outlets like CNN International, BBC World, covering everything from conflict zones to stories of human resilience and compassion. After moving to Canada, and Peter, I think we established that was around 2004, 2005. Peter faced PTSD and anxiety at about 2006 and 2007. And he was dealing with this until about 5 years ago when he found healing in cold water. These days, he snorkels and he films undersea wildlife in the icy 3 to 5 degrees Celsius waters of the Salish Sea without a wetsuit and without a bathing cap. And this is where I think he's absolutely amazing, because I need my bathing cap to keep some warmth on my head. So I'm so amazed at what Peter does. And that's actually how we met a few years ago, as Peter was at the ramp where I was going swimming at Kitsilano, and we started to chat, and then we started to go out in the water together, and here we are. So thank you so much, Peter, for accepting to be here tonight. And thank you for sharing your story about PTSD and anxiety with us. You're going to have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Hélène, thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be here. Alejandro, my heart goes out to you, my friend. Gabriella, I'm in the room with giants here. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's an honor to be here. And Hélène, you've always been my greatest support and friend, and I appreciate everything you've done. And also just your good humor and just all your knowledge to do with cold water. To give a small kind of sum up of my my journey in cold water. I grew up in South Africa. I had to do 2 years military service, and there was a war in Angola at the time. So I experienced a little bit of situations that were very unsettling. And then because I'm a cameraman, I ended up with BBC and then CNN International in London, and traveled all over, as Hélène was saying, and covered some incredible stories. But when I got married and we came to Canada, I ended up waking up 3 in the morning, sweating and having nightmares, and I didn't really know what was going on. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you've got full-blown PTSD. And I didn't know much about PTSD at the time, but I just found out that it gave me more and more anxiety. It pushed me into depression, and I suffered from bouts of depression and anxiety for like ever since I've been here 22 years, and there's probably 15 of those suffered a lot. And I never wanted to. I tried taking antidepressants for very short periods of time, and they never worked for me. So I always tried holistic ways to get around it, but nothing really worked. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, come along. We're going to go for a polar bear plunge on the 1st of January here in Vancouver." So I went with him and his family. And like most people, I didn't want to go into cold water, but we just pushed ourselves and dived in. As Gabriella was saying, it's probably a stupid thing to do because you can, suck in water. But the next day, I just found myself back in the water. I don't know why. I just felt so good from that polar bear swim, and it did something to me. Just, I don't know what it was. Well, I know you guys do, but I didn't know what it was. It was something magical that I felt in my body, and I started going for cold plunges at Kitsilano. The second day it was snowing, and it was, I don't know, probably about 6 degrees, and I just stayed up to my neck for around about 2 or 3 minutes, and that was it. I was hooked. And because I used to do a lot of free diving and snorkeling in South Africa, I slowly started to introduce snorkeling into my regimen. And I would I would go out snorkeling at Kitts Point or along the beaches at Kitsilano for 10, 15 minutes a day, and then gradually increased it, and started filming the wildlife with a little camera that I had, mainly just to distract myself from the feeling of the cold hitting my body. But what I discovered, and I was chatting to Hélène about it, is that because I was able to stay with the cold for 15, 20 minutes a day, when my anxiety came back or any negative thoughts came back, I realized, wow, well, if I can stay with the cold for 15, 20 minutes a day, I can stay with this negativity for 15, 20 minutes a day. Let's give it a go. And instead of distracting or having a glass of wine or doing whatever, like scrolling to get away from that horrible feeling of you're not good enough, or where's your next paycheck going to come from, or all the fears that a lot of us get, I was able to just sit with my body and go, okay, if I can feel the cold, I can feel this. So let's sit with it. Let me just sit with it. And after a while, I started making friends with my body, and the two work together. The cold, the sea, as Hélène was saying, and Mark so beautifully, all his research is backing up now. There's something about the sea. I used to surf in South Africa since I was a little kid. We used to do a lot of big wave surfing there, and I've always had a deep connection to the sea. And I said to Elaine when I came to Vancouver, it's flat and it's cold. And I thought, it's not very inviting, but with this cold water swimming, the sea just kind of wrapped its arms around me and just said, okay, here we are again, and that's been it. I've had so many conversations with people on the beach. It is my meditation. I don't normally go with people. I have been careful to not make it a safety issue, getting into trouble by myself. But I just love that time every day in the cold through the winter. I got to finally go under the ice in Banff early in February of last year for a while, just to feel what it would be like. And Gabriella was telling us this exhilarating feeling of just being in nature is just so amazing. So I just am honored to be here today. And Alejandro, I just hope everything just moves from strength to strength with the wonderful things that you're doing with this organization. I really, really hope people donate and help move this mental health crisis that the world is suffering from at the moment. I mean, cold water is just a very valuable tool, as we crazy cold water people know. But there's so many other ways of doing it, and I honor you, my friend. I wish all the best for you. So I think I don't know how much longer you want me to blabber on there, Hélène.
Well, I don't know about blabber, but I do have some, because we have recorded already the podcast that's online available with the coolest journey, and that's being aired actually. It aired, the first episode aired last week, and then this week, and then the week after on CFMU 93.3 FM in Hamilton, Ontario. We talked about how often to do this practice, right? I'm open about it. I have to do it daily because I have to have that reset for chronic pain management. That's my thing, but it doesn't have to be like that for everybody. Peter, how often do you go in cold water?
Hélène, I must admit, it pulls me back just about every single day in winter, if I'm not working. And if I am working, I'm sometimes away on blocks, like maybe 3 weeks to a month on a television series. And then if I'm in a hotel, I'll seek out the ice machine and fill up the bath with ice water and jump into that, or find a lake nearby on one of our days off. So it's a fix. I need my fix, the same as, we're talking about it, because the benefits, as Gabriella was saying, it's just it can be bliss. It can be complete bliss, and it gives a complete window of relief from anxiety and from negative thoughts, I call it my magic. It's a secret. It's my magic secret. And in that little mini doc I did on YouTube, it's just it's an open secret. So many people are realizing this now, that nature and the cold, done regularly, is even better. I mean, I think what you guys do, and you go regularly, I can't think of a better regimen. But there are times that I have to, when I'm working, stay away from the sea, and I miss it. I really do.
And I think we were talking about that too. Sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month. It depends on what people have in terms of availability in their schedule. And in the meantime, there's nothing that prevents them from doing a cold shower, or even putting their hands in a bowl of cold water with some ice cubes, and maybe putting their face in the water as well, right? So exhaling in the water. So there's different ways to get the cold fix. It's not quite the same feeling, but there's something about being suspended with the buoyancy of water that adds to that feeling. And the benefits compound, which is something I can't remember if any of you have mentioned it, Gabriella or Peter. I don't think Dr. Christie mentioned it either, but they do compound, and that's why I keep going every day. So I'm seeing drastic improvements in my own condition from post-concussion symptoms. There's no way even a year ago I would have thought about doing something like this on Zoom. Gabriella, you can attest to this. We had tried, and I was a no-go. My brain was shut down. And through an ongoing practice, things get better, and we get more resilient, and we build our capacity to take on stress and to challenge ourselves in different ways. But it doesn't have to be a daily practice like what I do. It can be, like Peter, you were saying, you work it through your blocks, and yes, it is the draw of the wild is calling us and wants us back in the water.
It does. It really does. It is like the call of the wild. Literally, like Gabriella was saying, I hardly go for much swimming in summer. I find the sea is not as attractive. There's a lot of noise, and then October comes, and everybody starts clearing out, and it starts becoming quiet, and the water becomes clear, and then the little voice goes, "Come back, come back," and then I'm in, and it's not even discipline. It's like it just draws me back. I have to do it. But yes, as you were saying, I think anything when you first start it's got a little bit of a curve, where you have a bit of a hump to get over. But if you don't try it, you will never find out this incredible benefit.
And true story, when I was 19 years old, I was with a past boyfriend, and we went to visit someone who lived across. It was at his cottage, and there was a woman who lived in a roulotte, like a little camper in the middle of the woods, full of books. And I think she must have been about 90 years old, living the perfect life in my world. But anyway, every day she was telling, so we went to visit her, and she was telling me, oh, every day I go in the water and it feels so good and so refreshing, and I feel so energized. And when we went to see her, it was in the fall, and there was this mist on the water, and everything was cold because there had been frost the night before. And I thought, she's off her rocker. She is one wild woman. And little did I know that I would become a proponent of cold water like she was. I should have listened to her. Oh my goodness. If I had done that when I was 19 years old, so many things could have been easier in my life. Yeah, in terms of stress management,
Absolutely.
in terms of I had anxiety, depression, and PTSD following the car accident. And true story, with the PTSD, I would wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, one time I was punching a door, and another time I was trying to strangle him, and I was seeing all sorts of spirits walking through the room. This was so, it was horrible, really. And this wasn't, oh, someone is walking. No, this was a full-on nightmare, and it was triggered by the PTSD. And it hasn't happened
That's
in about
wonderful.
4.5
Yeah, I can
years.
attest to that. Those, you know, it seems to be 3 o'clock in the morning that they would come and find me, and you know, the demons were, you know, I don't know about if they're real, but I tell you, they're real in your brain at that time in the morning, and yeah, just to also the inflammation, you know, but as I get older, I found that, you know, carrying repetitive strain injuries in my body, of hoisting heavy camera gear around and running all over the place doing like shows like Ice Pilots and Yukon Gold, it's worn my body down a lot. But when something about the cold, it's all of the repetitive strain has gone away. Um, it has an incredible physical benefit. Just repetitive going into the cold water have just an anti-inflammatory effect. And you know, I don't advocate everybody putting their head under the water if they're not used to it. I saw myself as a bit of a crash test dummy. You know, when we met each other, you thought I was crazy putting my head under the water. And there was very little research as to what, you know, repeated exposure of cold on the skull would do to the brain. But I'm still here. It seems to have worked, and I don't seem to have got any brain damage that I know of any more than I've got already. So so far so good.
And I would attest to that as well. The brain inflammation is much better controlled when we are in cold water, especially when we put the face in the water. It yields miracles. So I hope this conversation with Peter and with Gabriella, and showing Dr. Christie's research, helped a lot of people out there who are either listening to us live, as in today, or watching the replay. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your expertise. Now, I just wanted to share a couple of little tidbits. So this is different. This is like a little collage of my life in cold water. And we end up meeting the greatest people and encountering the strangest things, like this magic wand that was kelp. It's the bulb of a kelp over here. That's from Vancouver. And the ice crystals forming rocks, that was on a beach in, it's Burlington Beach off of Lake Ontario. That was absolutely amazing. And then this top picture here in the turquoise water, that was a picture that was taken underwater at Shell Beach. Yeah, that was Shell Park. And that was in February. So never would we think that we would see turquoise tropical water in 0-degree water. And that's actually what happened. And then we see sunrises and sunsets. I couldn't find a picture. I have a picture of Vancouver with a double rainbow because that day I swam and that double rainbow happened right in front of me. And there's so many things that all of us have these stories, these miraculous stories, and we meet these people and in these competitions, and then crazy people wearing wild hats on their head and doing this competition. It's completely, it's fun, it's wild, it makes us feel alive, it brings us to the present moment, it helps us to, and I mentioned this, to connect with ourselves, with our environment, with people around us. And maybe it just helps to connect with our inner child as well. So how do we start a cold water practice? And I'm going to be a little bit quick on this. I would tell people, do your research. Just research it. You definitely, this is not something that you want to start just like this. There are some safety precautions to take. There are different methods out there. You know, I'm just one who promotes just go in the water. There's no specific breathing technique. Just try it and see how it goes. Read articles. Now we have Outdoor Swimmer magazine actually offered as one of the draw prizes, an annual subscription for a digital subscription. And they have great articles, beautiful pictures. And that's a great spot to start with reading articles in that magazine. Try and get medical clearance if it's possible. Not all doctors are familiar with it, but doctors will be familiar with your medical condition and they can advise you if it's something that should be done or not. Find pods online. So connect with like-minded people. So find your pod or your pods. Maybe it's on, we found a lot of Facebook groups, Gabriella and I, through through COVID. Nowadays, more and more groups are popping up on WhatsApp, Instagram, maybe, I don't know. You find your group. Sometimes just going to an open body of water and you'll see people there, talk to them. And they can help to guide you in finding a group of people. Definitely start swimming or start your practice of cold water exposure with other people who have experience, preferably. If they don't have experience in the cold, at least experience in open water so that you can learn from one another. Because there are a lot of factors to consider. And I've mentioned this at the beginning. There's water conditions, weather conditions in general, anything can happen. Currents, there's fish, there's maybe water quality issues. So maybe you want to see if your city where you're swimming has some sewer overflow when it rains hard, in which case you don't want to be in the water with raw sewage mixed with the water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So you definitely want to do your research and find people with experience who can help you. And at the very least, you can try it easily in your own shower, or like Peter was saying, try it in the tub, put some ice cubes in there, put some cold water, and then go in there. And always try, basically start low and go slow. So basically start with 2 minutes, get out, see how you feel, and the next day try it again, or maybe in the next week. This is a tip that Peter, I'm going to share this with others. Peter shared this tip with me. You can put some ice cubes in a sieve or a colander, and you hang that from your shower head. And so when the water from the shower head goes through the ice, it gets cooled. And so you get very cold water falling on yourself. So that's another way of getting your cold exposure in the shower. Personally, I hate cold showers. I hate them. I would have that as my plan E if I had to. But there are also some local community centers that are opening up their own cold plunges. There are specific centers like spas who offer cold plunges. There's a number of ways that you can get your cold in. And maybe your neighbor has purchased a cold plunge tub. Maybe you share some of the costs with the neighbor. In open water, the best way to start, find a group and then bring your bathing suit, bring a towel, warm clothes for changing afterwards. The best way to warm up is through the hands, the feet, and the forehead and the top of the head. So you can hold a cup in your hands that's with warm tea or something else that's warm. And that way you're warming up your hands, and that helps to warm up your body. And you can drink the tea too. Start 2 minutes, build from there, listen to your body, and it's like something like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Maybe you stay 8 minutes for a while until you see how it goes. You don't have to, overstay in there. You just stay in there because it feels good at the end of the day. And if you're going to put your head underwater, make sure you protect your ears and the crystals, as I mentioned, in your ear ducts, by using earplugs. And the best ones that we've found, and I'm not doing any publicity for this company, but it's the best ones that I found, and I think, Gabriela, you're still using these, is the Max earplugs. Oh, and I think, Peter, you're also using those as well. Yeah, Max earplugs are silicone, so you can form it to your ear, and a good seal, and away you go. And is there anything else, Gabriela or Peter, that you would like to add in terms of starting a cold water practice?
Gabriela, you want to say anything?
I'm trying to think.
Me too. I think you just need to find a friend who can come with you and encourage you, that has been in there once before. That'd be a good one. Like, come on, let's go and do it. If not, just listen to this, get inspired, and go and do it. Just go and do it. That's my advice.
Anything else, Gabriela?
I'm trying to think what hasn't been said. Don't be afraid of the cold.
We are creatures of comfort, and stepping outside of our comfort zone takes a lot of courage.
But nobody's afraid of the heat, and the heat kills more people than the cold.
Yeah.
But we're not used to the cold. But don't be afraid of it. Embrace it.
And I think it's also, we've talked about this in our podcast, both Gabriela and Peter. We learn hypothermia is a thing in Canada, and so we are very careful about the cold, and we fear the cold because we could die, but we fear less the heat, Gabriela, as you were mentioning, and yet it has dire consequences. So
yeah,
yes.
another thing Gabriela was touching on it. There was a cold snap here in Vancouver, and I think it got to -13. It was very, very unusual. It was the first time like that for like 60 years or something crazy. And I just decided to go down and do my snorkeling like I normally do. And I went down there and got in the water, and I surfaced after a few minutes and looked at the mountains, and the mountains were kind of shimmering as if, like you see a mirage on the road. And then I thought, wow, this is weird. Like, what's going on here? Because there was an inversion. The water, even though it was like 6 degrees, the air being -13, it was creating this strange inversion. I thought, I've got to get out. I've got to get out. So I got out, and as Gabriela was saying, it's like a pack of wolves that jump onto your body when it's really minus weather. And I knew I had to get home quickly. I had to quickly dry off, and I could feel everything starting to freeze. And I can't even imagine what you said at like -30. I wouldn't even, even -13. By the time I got home, my one fingernail was starting to kind of go black, and I probably getting little bits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, this is not good, So
yeah,
I warned the people in the cold water swimmers, saying like, don't go today.
Yeah. Actually, something to add then is listen to your body.
Yeah.
Make sure you adapt to the conditions, and some signs to look for. If the extremities are white, purple, or black, if legs are white, purple, or black, this is not.
If they're black, I think you're not even able to look at them.
We've seen this. So you always want to be careful and make sure you put your own safety first. This is not
Absolutely.
something to be taken lightly. So we're going to go for one draw prize before we go on with questions Q&A session with our participants. Actually, we have to come up with a question. Oh my goodness. So let's see. Gabriella, do you want to come up with a question, or Peter? Sorry to put you on the spot. I didn't even think about the questions. I knew I was going to do this, and I completely
ask something from Dr. Christie.
Okay.
What about the cold shock protein that is produced in your brain? The name of it.
Oh my God, I don't even know if we mentioned it, but let's go with an easy question first. And the person who gets this question gets to pick the prize that they want. Let's go with that. The three prizes that we have, and they're pretty nice. We have the one digital annual subscription to Outdoor Swimmer magazine. If you wanted to check it out, it's outdoorswimmer.com, I think. And that's worth about $120 Canadian. That's prize number one. Prize number two is a package of 3 coaching sessions with me as your swim coach, in person or virtual. So it doesn't matter where you are around the world, I can help you with your swimming. And that's a value of $300. And then the last prize, which is a great prize of $750 value, is with Gabriella. It's a package of 3 mindset coaching, or how did we call it, Gabriella?
Yeah, mindset
coaching resilience coaching sessions with Gabriella. And that's worth $750. So the first person who gets the answer to this question gets to pick among the 3 prizes to be drawn. Now, I want everyone to open up the chat from this Zoom link. And you're going to be putting in your answer in there. So can everyone see this? And let me put a question. Where are you from? So this is just to make sure that we're checking that everyone can write in the chat room. So I've got someone who said Vancouver, Mexico. Anna, thank you for being with us from Mexico. Oh, we've got some new messages coming in. So clearly the chat is working. Oh, thank you. The user, which is unnamed, mentioned that it's inspiring and exciting to be part of this pod. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yes, please answer Doll's question so we get your name. We have Hornby Island in the house. We have Argentina from Hélène. We have Ada in Ontario, Adore in Vancouver. Okay, Adore. Adore's my husband. But I think maybe he wants one of the prizes too. So, and we have Doll, and my assistant Doll is in the Philippines. Absolutely. Okay, so is everyone ready? Here we go. Unknown is HB. Oh, I know who you are, HB, Heather Brown. Okay. So one of my swimmers. From Dr. Mark Christie's presentation, what is the first name of the woman who experienced amazing benefits and her mental health greatly improved from going swimming? She had lymphoedema. What was her first name? Oh my goodness. Should I give a little tip? You're close, you're close. It's not Catherine, not one of my clients either. Kathleen, yes, Anna, you got it. Yay, well done, Anna. Anna, can you let us know which prize you want? And we're going to get in touch with you after the call to make sure that we get all of your coordinates, and we'll make sure that you get the prize. But which one would you like to claim? Would you like the digital annual subscription to Outdoor Swimmer magazine? Would you like a package of 3 swim coaching sessions with me? Or would you like a package of 3 mindset resilience coaching session with Gabriella? Gabriela speaks Spanish, Anna, if that makes a difference to you. While Anna is thinking about this, we're going to open the floor for questions and answers. Mindset coaching. Okay. There you go, Gabriela. You've got Anna. Oh, you two are going to hit it off. So, Gabriela. Anyone have any questions for any one of us, or comments, or anything you'd like to share? Apart from the fact that the three of us have different levels of craziness. We know that. And we also have Alejandro on the call as well, right? So that you can also ask Alejandro a question.
I think CJ here has a question.
Yes, CJ.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for putting on this event, and it's a delight. And I'm really glad to get to listen to all the presenters and also make a small supporting motion towards Alejandro's work. And I definitely am praying for you, Alejandro, and I appreciate you putting yourself out there in the way that you're doing. For anyone, I wanted to share rather than a question, I wanted to share a nugget of my experience. I do cold water swimming with Hélène, and it's a joy and a bright spot in my day when I'm able to join her. On days when I'm not able to join her, I often will have a cold shower at home. And one of the ways that I can make myself do it, because it's not fun, but it's good. I come away happier. Is I remember how much nicer it is to get out of a cold shower into the warm room, because otherwise, sometimes when I'm feeling kind of wussy or unenergized or something, I'll be like, oh, and I'm gonna be soft and I'm gonna have a warm shower. But then when I get out of the warm shower, my bathroom seems very cold. And it's kind of miserable. So it's kind of nice to have the cold shower, and then it's a reward to get out to dry off and cozy up. So I just wanted to share that, if that is any little nugget of encouragement for someone else to try that at home. Thank you.
Thank you, CJ, for sharing. That's very true. Looking forward to that feeling of either feeling good or feeling euphoric afterwards. That's what often gets us through those first initial that discomfort level. And thanks for your kind words as well. Yes, I'm very grateful that I have such an amazing group of people around me, and great friends and beautiful connections. Anyone else would like to share or? Nothing.
Sure, I'll have something to share. It's actually something you taught me when a couple of days ago when we went to Jericho Beach. You said, for our first time, stay 2 minutes submerged in the cold water, because if you dip in and dip out real quickly, you train your nervous system to fly whenever adversity or challenges come into your life. So training your brain to stay and face the challenge, like the cold water, can really benefit real life when things get hard. You stay put, and you stay calm, you breathe, and you work it out. So that was something I really appreciate learning from you. So I'm really looking forward to start this practice in my life.
Thank you for reminding me of my own good words.
Yeah.
But it is very true. Often what we see during the polar bear plunge, we see people running into the water, and then turning around and leaving, right? And that's the worst thing that we can do. I just want to keep telling people, just stay in the water for 2 minutes, breathe through the discomfort until your heart rate goes back down, then leave, just so that we're training the nervous system to calm down in the event of a highly stressful situation, and that you know how to handle it. And that's basically the training that we do with the nervous system. Oh, thank you, Bridget. Bridget is another one of the swimmers that I've interacted with so often. I think we're going to draw the other two remaining prizes.
I'm just going to speak. It's Heather.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't have any idea why my thing is coming up as user because I wasn't trying to hide anything. I'm an amazing like starter cold water swimmer with Hélène and CJ, and just like through all of this journey, it's an absolute transformation to my life. Like it is such a gift for me. We talk about mental wellness. We can talk about mental wellness, but we can talk about like all of the other benefits for ourselves. Like we talked about the camaraderie, we talked about this gift of like meeting up with people, all of these things. It's positivity, it's looking forward, it's being in the present, it's enjoying every moment of the day. You know, like we get these things stolen from us, literally stolen from us. Alejandro, you got this stolen from you. And it's okay to seek out things that will help you feel in the present and feel that love around you because you do have it. And we do get stuck sometimes because there's some people that actually like they do try to block it by taking your family, taking your friends, taking your connections with people and whatever it may be. And then as you open up to all of these things and we get into nature, we get into all of these wonderful feelings, we can share this gift with everyone.
And Heather, the healing is at multiple levels, and we've discussed this many times together on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the practice really compounds, as I've mentioned before. It helps us to build this capacity to take on any kind of stress in our day.
Absolutely.
Every time we go in, it's like a total full body reset, and then we can take on, say, not that we want the adversity, but we can take it on. And then
Yeah.
the next day we go back and just do a full body reset. And it makes a huge difference to do it with other people. One huge advantage of having another person is that on those days when we really don't feel like going, and we know that someone else is waiting, like Heather waits for me, and CJ comes and picks me up, you know, it makes motivation easy. It's external motivation. I know I'm meeting someone, therefore I've got the commitment, I've got my accountability buddy, I'm going in. And that's why it's also really nice to have a community.
Absolutely. And it's about trust and love. It is. Yeah, it is. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you so much, Heather. So we will proceed with the last two draws. We have the swimming outdoor swimmer magazine, and we have the package of 3 swim coaching lessons or sessions with me. So let's see. The question I'm going to ask next, Gabriela or Peter, do you have a question that you would like to ask pertaining to your own presentations?
I have one.
Yes, Gabriela. So
What is the
everyone,
name?
just a second. Everyone get ready. Get ready to type. Okay.
What is the name of the nerve that gets stimulated while we are swimming in cold water or immersing ourselves in? Oh my God, yeah. They answer so fast. That was not a difficult question.
It's not the ventral vagus, but it is the vagus nerve. Well, Heather, you're probably in medical. Maybe it is ventral vagus. I don't know. So Heather, that's you, I think, user. So we will make sure that you get that prize. And Heather, which one would you like? Would you like the subscription to Outdoor Swimmer Magazine, or would you like 3 swimming lessons with me?
Baby.
You can write down your answer, Heather, if you'd like, so that we know which last prize we're going to have. Otherwise, me. You're so sweet. Oh, you're gonna make me regret picking me as a prize. Me as a prize. Yeah. Okay, so you get 3 swimming. This is great. Okay, so we have one more question, and the last prize is the Outdoor Swimmer Magazine subscription. It's absolutely gorgeous. You really just go and check out the website. They have some articles for free. It's absolutely beautiful. Peter, do you have a question pertaining to your presentation that you'd like to ask?
No, I can't think of one right now. There was no special names or words that I used.
Yeah, there was.
We're never actually. I think I have one for Peter. Get ready, everyone.
Okay.
Get ready.
Okay.
Where did Peter learn to surf?
South Africa.
Bridget got it.
There you go. You got it. Durban,
Bridget!
South Africa.
Bridget gets the subscription.
Yay.
Bridget, we'll be in touch with you. Actually, Bridget, Heather, and Anna will be in touch with you tomorrow to make sure that we coordinate the gifts and to make sure that you get your hands on those. So I would like to thank everyone who participated today, the speakers, Doll, my assistant, Adore, who's been so supportive, but everyone, all of you participating in this. And please don't hesitate to share the link once it's going to be up on the YouTube channel, The Coolest Journey. I really thank you for being a part of this and I wouldn't say it's one of the multiple solutions that we can offer in our communities in order to help with the mental health issues. The better we all feel, then the better we can bring our gifts to this world. Any last words from each one of my speakers? Gabriela, your mic is already open, so I'm going to put you first. Last words?
Just go out there.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would just encourage people to have conversations with people that you see doing cold water swimming, even if you don't do it yourself. Ask them about the benefits, and even if you're a bit unsure, they'll persuade you. I promise.
Yes, that's very good. Thank you, Peter. Alejandro, do you have any last words?
Yeah, also something I learned at the last cold plunge was, or maybe it's a trick to not think, just do it, just go for it. The more you think, the more you're gonna psych yourself out, and doubt is gonna come in. And sometimes also in life, it's just like that. As they say, fail forward. Just learn from your mistakes and move on. But just go for it. Yeah, and it it was not pleasant, very uncomfortable, but life right now is beyond uncomfortable for me. So definitely, this is good. This is very good.
And thank you, everyone, for contributing to the Samper Caicedo Foundation in any way possible. And we do have part 2 happening on Saturday in person at Kitsilano Beach at 8 o'clock at the boathouse. So that's where the washrooms are, between the boathouse and the beach. So if you can make it, we'd love to see you there. I think, Peter, you're going to try and be there if possible. And Alejandro, I think you're going to be there as well. So we look forward to seeing everyone. Gabriela, you'd love to be there, but...
I love to be there, but I have to say something else about cold swimming.
Yes.
There is a fashion statement part that nobody touched.
Yes. We don't look, well, we look good.
We look like hobos with very expensive parkas.
You have parkas, you have all sorts of equipment that you can get, or absolutely nothing. Just go with the bathing suit. It doesn't matter. But in time, you develop your own little hobos and bag ladies with expensive wear. We just develop our own little tricks in time, and I've got a bath mat that I've been bringing with me now for 5 years. So, you know.
Absolutely. Kate, my wife, says, "Hey, why don't I buy you one of those fancy robes?" And I thought, no, I've got to leave it on the beach while someone's going to walk off with it. So I come down, as Gabriella says, like looking like a complete hobo.
Oh my goodness.
The ability to laugh at ourselves is part of this journey as well. It's just the joy that we feel. We're on a high afterwards, and it doesn't really matter what we look like. But you're right, Gabriella. What we look like,
And sometimes we look like we are high, which is
Yes.
Absolutely, because we are high.
oh, this is too
Okay.
funny. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, so much for spending all this
Thank you
time
so
with me.
much.
A big goodbye to all of our friends around the world, clearly. So in Ontario, South America, thank you once again. I love you all, and I hope to see you all in the cold water soon.
Thank you.
Hi.
Bye.